Welcome to part 3 of answering your questions. If you're enjoying this series, please subscribe as there's many more to come. Here's today's questions.
Is it necessary to find the spine of an arrow before you start fletching them? Now, what I believe he's asking is a lot of people, they test their arrows to find the weakest or stiffest direction, and then they put their cock vane on there. So all of the arrows experience their maximum stiffness in the same direction. It's another method of getting arrows closer matched. Now, for me, in the world that I live in of world-class target archery, just like with you, Ash, our arrows are much more consistent. And really, when you've got aluminium arrows, there is no difference at all. And on the X10s, we're trying to select arrows with no difference at all. So no, we don't do this, but I totally understand why some other people would.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've tried doing it with recurve arrows because I thought it might help before with X10s. And basically it was just a waste of time. I tried 2 different methods, which is one of them is very old school, which is dropping the bear shaft, like the cut arrow, but no points in it, no knocks, dropping it in a bath, and then you see which side. Yeah, that kind of method you've done probably as well. Did that way. And also you can test the spine with a weight and see, and then find the stiffest side. Did that way as well. Basically did nothing. I might as well just save the time and put the points and knocks in the arrows.
So I guess we could say the lower the quality of your arrow, the more important this would be. If you're buying X10s, ACEs, Pro Tours, you're really not going to see any benefit because they are all so closely matched. But yes, by shooting wooden arrows, fiberglass arrows, maybe some of the real cheaper arrows, this would be a way of making your arrows just that little bit better grouping, I guess. No harm.
Yeah, I think that's safe, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to abbreviate this question. We bring the string back to our anchor point, and then we expand through the clicker and the release. Does this mean our anchor point is slightly forward of our true draw length? As I say, just a little bit confused. What is our draw length?
This is a good question. And
it is.
I think this can get confusing, especially if you're new to archery, because people say full draw, which implies that you can't go any further, and anchor point, which implies that you're not moving.
Anchors are normally fixed.
Yeah, hopefully. So I think this is where the confusion comes to. But I think the easiest way to think about this is full draw is kind of just an arbitrary thing someone has named and labeled at that point. And you can't say if someone's in a position, for example, we're here, you are going to be able to pull the arrow through the clicker more because you can do that with your expansion, and that's something good, right? And this is,
But maybe they're not clear. Maybe, I think some people think our expansion is 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, when often with the world's best, their expansion is 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters. So you can just find that it's not, but I know when I started, I thought you were going to pull 1 inch through the clicker, but we're not. So maybe there's a combination of these things. Their expansion is so small sometimes.
Exactly. And it was a long time ago now, but on my channel there's a video, something along the lines of why you're not at full draw or why you're not at real full draw, which is why I made the distinction between people think full draw is the position of the front kind of side, which is like, your bow hand, and basically you've put the string here and your hand is here, and people think that means you're at full draw. Mm-hmm. And I think this is where people get confused. Is full draw, is how I think of it, is where your shoulders are and your alignment is actually what makes full draw, not just the string on your face. Because I could pretend to be at full. I could basically just muscle the string here, not have any alignment, and someone would say you're at full draw. But then if I actually got good alignment and then got into here, my actual draw length would be 4 inches longer or something. Yeah. So I'd encourage people to think about, okay, my full draw position is when I'm in a good alignment, shoulders are lined up, I've got all these things. It's more about that and feeling inside the bow. And when you're at that point, there's quite a narrow range of the draw length that you'll end up with. And then with that, you've got that small expansion like you mentioned. But I think a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm here and I could be 2 inches longer. Which one is right? And then I guess it's kind of confusing. So I guess you've probably kind of experienced that as well, right? With archers,
sometimes we don't have enough words to fill in. We have you're at full draw. Well, like you just said, we can interpret that in many ways. I will find what that video is, and this is what it looks like, and I will link it in the description, okay? Next we have, what arrow setup is best in windy condition? An example, is it a heavy or a light arrow? Same diameter there. That was a key point for him to mention. So this is in the wind. Heavy point, light point. Is it to have shorter fletchings, longer fletchings? I know we have to test and find out. Well done for mentioning that, because that's always, we could sit here all day and just say, go and test. But he just wants to know some general guidelines and why.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot to unpick there, isn't there? So I guess starting with the heavy or the light arrow.
If they're the same diameter.
Yeah.
So in an ideal world, we want the smallest possible diameter, and the heavier it is within reason, the less it will drift.
Yeah.
But that doesn't incorporate forgiveness of shooting and things like that. But generally the smaller arrows, like X10s, they went smaller, they went heavier, they drift less.
And also with the X10s, it's kind of like you need this kind of minimum poundage almost to make it worthwhile, for example, at 70 meters, because if it's too heavy, you're going to then have the arrow just completely die and lose all its speed at the end. Yeah. So it's like you do want it heavy, providing you've got enough like base poundage or arrow speed as well. I guess would you say
because that shootability comes into it, doesn't it? You know, we're not just a machine. We're going to make mistakes, and if the arrow is too heavy and starting to lose momentum, those mistakes are going to get amplified. But generally speaking, it's the small, heavy ones if you got enough power.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. And then, interesting with this one, with the heavy point or not, what are your thoughts with that as well?
I think most of the time, within we always have to say within reason. If you put a 300 grain point in your X10s, it's not going to be very good. But yes, most of the time when I was at our indoor 70 meter range, I could get the best groups with 100 grain tungsten points. And when I was outside in the wind, or just generally outside with some variability, I got better groups with either the 110 or the 120. So I think, yes, within reason. Does that mean I'm going to be shooting an 800 spine arrow and put in a 130 grain point? No. But probably the heavier side of what's average for that arrow is probably going to deliver better results. Do you agree with that?
I'd agree with that. And I'd even go as far to say, like, more people than you think shoot 120 grain points that you thought like might even not, because we were at a practice field for one of the World Cups and Chang Haijin broke one of her arrows. Robin Hooded the overknock, because a lot of the Koreans have the overknock. Robin Hooded the arrow, threw it in a bin, and someone was like, I'm going to have that tungsten point.
They left the tungsten point in there.
Because they left the tungsten point in the arrow, and it was 120 grains.
That's definitely someone who's not paying for her own points.
Yeah, I would say so.
You would not catch me doing that.
No, me neither.
Or you, yeah.
But I thought it was funny, but it was quite interesting because we finally found out what point weight she was shooting, and it was 120 grains, which, 25-inch arrow maybe? And I can't remember what spine it was, but quite a light spine as well.
But you're right, you would imagine that's someone who might benefit from but again, her poundage is going to be 44, 46. Oh, you think 42? Okay, then. Sorry.
Yeah, but still, 42 pounds with a 25-inch arrow is going to give you a lot of speed, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's going to be punchy.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if anyone is looking for some one-to-one online coaching, all the details are in the description. And until next time, good shooting.